Oh my God.
I get it now. It's a new day as the Brood.
Oh, tonight's mischief night. They're having a little fun.
These videos are satiric reviews. You don't have to agree, but don't bitch about it.
I hate this channel.
Hey there, I'm Social Justice Warrior V Infuso. And growing up, one of my all-time favorite stables during the Attitude Era was the Brood. Which I'm only just now realizing didn't last as long as I thought it did. In 1998, the year I got into wrestling, all the members of this group's original incarnation made their debuts. Starting with future world champion Edge, followed by the one-note vampire Gangrel, and then ending with Christian. Edge came out as the mysterious mute who entered through the crowd. He was the strange loner who shopped at an early 2000s Hot Topic. I guess you could say that he was edgy. Please don't unsubscribe. I get it. I'll stop. I'm sorry. Gangrel. Well, Gangrel may just have had the coolest entrance in wrestling history. I mean, look at that. This is a WrestleMania-worthy entrance, and this isn't even WrestleMania. This happened once a week on Raw, sometimes on Sunday Night Heat. The man rises from the floor, looking as if he's being raised from the depths of hell, surrounded by a ring of fire. Then he'd slowly walk to the ring while showing off his fangs and sipping on a goblet of blood.
That's fucking metal as fuck, dude.
Sipping on a goblet filled with blood before spitting it back into the crowd. So just imagine that thing that Triple H does, but this time it looks cool. Around this time, Edge was caught up in a feud with the Buffy stunt double, Gangrel, who Christian was in allegiance to. Christian most notably debuted during the In Your House event, in the middle of Edge's match against Owen Hart. His appearance was enough of a distraction to cost Edge the match, and give Owen Hart the victory. I distinctly recall the commentators talking about how this mysterious young man looked just like Edge, obviously setting up the narrative that the then unnamed newcomer was clearly Edge's younger brother.
Who's that guy? Looks like security down here. Looks like Edge!
And if it seems like I'm skimming past this and I missed anything, I'm gonna assure you, I didn't.
Edge and Gangrel, somewhere in their past, prior to coming to the WWF, they knew each other in some context, kid.
That's Gangrel! Gangrel! Oh, I thought Gangrel was going after Edge!
You will come home. You will come home. What? Come home? Why would...
I have no idea.
Why would...
I have no idea.
Ever since the frenzy, when our bloodlines first embraced, I knew you were so special. I've come to bring you home.
What does he mean by that?
Your real family needs you.
What is he talking about?
This alliance would eventually convince Edge to join them as well, thus forming the Brood. Gangrel led his demonic followers through the Ring of Fire weekly on Raw, dominating the likes of the Oddities and the Job Squad, and even surprisingly holding their own against D-Generation X. The team would also give their rivals ritualistic bloodbaths as the lights were cut. This is something that happened quite a few times.
That is the most metal thing I ever heard in my whole life.
Christian took after his master, wearing the same Seinfeld puffy shirt, while Edge never once changed his attire, which was probably the smarter decision. He's a lot more in tune with the fashion trends of the 2000s. Puffy shirts, way out. Ridiculous looking trench coats, always in. 100%. The team was one of the most memorable parts of Raw on a weekly basis, and still to this day are one of the most beloved parts of this era. I mean, granted, they're not gonna come up in conversation before names like Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, or Chris Jericho, but in discussing the Attitude Era, they'll undoubtedly be brought up. Though the team didn't see a whole lot of success during their tenure, Christian did manage to win the Light Heavyweight Championship on his official in-ring debut, but the team never won tag team titles, nor do I think they were even slated to compete for them. But they definitely did have the approval of the audience at the time, and that's really all you can ask for. The Brood began a feud with the Ministry of Darkness, and guys, look, there's enough room on Vampire Freaks for all of you guys to make profiles. There's no need for this kind of violence. This is like that South Park episode when the vampires fought the goth kids, and it's all the same shit. That's what this is. It's all the same shit. Eventually, the teams did come to that realization, and the Brood were assimilated to the League of Supervillains. I mean, the Dungeon of Doom. I mean, the Ministry of Darkness. Very different. Their time with the Ministry is probably best remembered for the time they helped Undertaker hang a man in the middle of a ring. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. The Attitude Era was a very different time. As perfect as the pairing sounds on paper, it was anything but, as the team very often became the whipping boys of the higher power. Sometimes literally. They were consistently punished either for their shortcomings or just to prove their loyalty. On one occasion, Christian was sentenced to a severe flogging. Not sexually. After he'd given the Ministry's location to an enraged Ken Shamrock. The Brood refused to turn on their brother, instead choosing to revolt against the not-so-corporate Ministry. The three-man team would feud with the Ministry after the split, still competing against the larger stable when they'd finally joined the corporation. The team would also begin to feud with former jobbers, the Hardy Boys, and their manager-slash-grandfather, Doc Hendricks. That's right, Michael P.S. Hayes himself, and goddamn you, take that off! You're making everybody uncomfortable! I forgot all about, why could this have not stayed buried? Somewhere deep, deep, deep into my subconscious. Who wants to see an old man in a shirt 8 sizes too tight?
It's me. It was me all along.
And oh yeah, of course, that's who. I mean, just look at Exhibit A.
Down. Here we go. Not even waiting for the ring announcer, the bell. Look at this tremendous maneuver. Oh, and he's taught the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys work so smoothly together. Oh, man. And there's another one. Choice but to go down. And look at this now, Matt Hardy picked up over the top. Matt Hardy from behind and a DDT away to fight Hayes for years. One of the toughest, one of the dirtiest fighters around. I don't know if there's any way he can survive this. Look at this now. He wants to be tagged in. Nice counter that time by Christian. Michael Hayes in trouble, setting him up now. Oh! And now he's going to have to take on the Hardy. Wait a minute. Hardy now top rope. Christian in trouble. Suplex. And here's Jeff Hardy now. Oh, Senton found a way to kick out from that maneuver. Wait a minute now. And Christian now. Oh! Well, look out now. Christian in trouble. Matt Hardy's got him on his shoulders. Oh! La Land. And can Christian take advantage now? 3. And Christian has pulled the upset.
After a long feud between the two future legendary rival tag teams, Gangrel would shockingly betray his underlings in favor of the much more dark and gothic-looking Hardy Boys. Which aesthetically makes sense, I guess. The new pairing was dubbed the New Brood. And you know wrestling, if there's any way to revamp, no pun intended, if there's any way to revamp a gimmick, just add new in front of it. Just put new right in front of it. Boom. New thing. Everyone loves it as much as the old thing. Always. 100%. I mean, you just got to think about all the successful new tag teams. The New Rockers, the New Blackjacks, the New World Order. I mean, come on. It writes itself. People love this shit. As I was saying, the new pairing was dubbed the New Brood. And Michael Hayes was told to hit the bricks and lose his grandson's shirt because that is disgusting. I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed for you all these years later. This pairing was even more short-lived as the Hardy Boys enlisted the managerial services of Terry Runnels and eventually aided Edge and Christian in a beatdown of their former mentor, thus dropping the New Brood act and ending the angle altogether. This latter group is hardly remembered in the grand scheme of things, with them rarely ever, if ever, even being brought up in conversation. Of course, the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian would continue to feud outside their initial rivalry and truce, having much more legendary career-defining matches, often including the Dudley Boys, and Gangrel would... Oof, his career really took a stake to the heart, didn't it?
Well, let me tell you something, brother. You're watching the Social Injustice Warrior, V Infuso's channel, dude. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too want to become a V-tard, don't forget to like and subscribe, and click that little bell icon to get updates and notifications. Ooh, tell him what up, Mach. Ooh, yeah. Follow the man on Twitter, yeah, because we all know it's not stalking if it's on the internet, yeah. Join the madness by joining the Discord, and if you have a moment of time and a free $1 to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, dig it, where you can request videos, Get exclusive videos and early access to content. Yeah. Or go down to PayPal where you can buy the shirts, brother. But most importantly, just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.